parents, and it's written by a black man that's, he was a Navy chief until December. But he's been running a blog for 20 years about financial literacy. And he's been up to, Warren Buffett's office, and he's in a book with him. And the books feature kids that look like our kids. And I met him before he did his third book, and said, "Hey, take advantage of the fact that financial literacy is a big deal." Now he has a foundation. The third book, we get a couple $100 every quarter from the sales of the book. But 60 kids read all of them this summer. 7 Spanish kids that we translated them as one of my staff. Then they tested on them to see if they understood it. Well, his foundation came down, gave out goodie bags to the kids. 3 kids got at least $200 of, it's like a diversified stock index stock. And they met with their parents. And so now they're all stock owners. And 2 of the kids come up to me and they're like, "This is the best day of my life." I said, "You haven't even went to the movie theater." I rented a whole movie theater with 82 kids hit their reading goal for summer, which is the most by far. Yeah. But I was so wore out because July I worked 300 and some hours. Oh yeah, it was nuts. Wow. But yeah, that's when you want to retire. I don't think I want to wait until they have to carry me out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it is. It's good to be like where it's, things are going well, and you're passing the baton here as opposed to here.
Well, we were excited about 2 people, and they're only like a year or 2 younger than I. I'm like, and then we go to right. It's your call. Don't ask me.
You're the one
I still got a pretty good amount of energy, and I don't know that if you want to hire someone that's, it's not a retirement job. There's certain jobs where you can kind of go in and run things, and I have a really good staff right now, but like tomorrow I'm going to do a first aid CPR. Then I'm running one of those big scrubbing machines in the art room, in the kitchen, fixing pool tables, crawling underneath stuff, crawling up on stuff. And that's the stuff I shouldn't do.
But plus too though, your staff and the kids have all gone this way with you. You aren't an age or anything like that to them. You are. They see somebody else come in, and are they going to identify? Are they going to pick that out in that person? Whether it's age or color, or they're from Texas, or whatever kind of thing. They're going to focus on something totally different, and is that going to be a positive or a negative?
Well, I know they want to hire someone from the neighborhood, so they probably want to hire someone that's black and brown. Yeah. I think they need to hire somebody who's Spanish because they're more Spanish speaking. But like one of my alumni, we helped do a wellness fair, kind of put his name on the t-shirt and all that stuff. I said, "Hey, I got all this money, you might as well spend it." And got people come in. It was over 200 folks. But the weekend before was his dad's 70th birthday party. It's my assistant director, her husband Joe, ex-Marine, just the biggest heart. It's all outdoors. And what they did is that people go up and tell stories. So he had to sit on stage and then do that. But I come in and I have a Colorado t-shirt on. And I have just some shorts on and Tiva sandals. And Rich comes up to me and goes, "Rich, I'm pulling your black card." I'm like, I said, I couldn't tell you. One day would be like being a black man. I said, "So I have no black card, so you can't pull it." I said, "But if you want me to leave, I'm going to take you 2 biscuits." Like, you just, hell no, come on in. Pulling my black card. Georgetown. I'm by the dress like this thing. That's what they would expect. Yeah. All right.
Your honorary could be gone.
But you got the good stuff. I love it. How you doing, Bob?
Doing good, how are you?
That packet.
Just laughing. Yeah, can't do much
I can
more.
tell that, I mean, this is a very, you know.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
You do.
What's that?
All the exec session stuff we got. But you have
He
your
got his packet, but he doesn't have.
Yeah, PJ and I just came from the church. There's an old, it must have been the old manger or something, an old bunch of barns up there, junks. Yeah, we loaded up the truck
Oh, you get that.
and we took it down to the dumpster every Thursday.
Down at
Oh,
Idaho
yes,
Springs.
yes.
No, I just take it down. I have.
No, I mean,
church
it's church, the church in Idaho Springs or Our Lady of Lily.
Our Lady, I do the lawn there.
Yeah.
PJ cleans it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
More, it seems like unless your family's preaching, if your family's preaching, she doesn't miss Saturday. But otherwise, she might come down a little more with me on
They
Sunday.
probably won't be back until after the new year. I would think, after Christmas.
She sure gets a lot out of it. She sure does.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're gonna talk some more
God
later.
is striking, I haven't been to church in a couple of years.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
The first Sunday a month, I do biscuits gravy for Idaho Springs Catholic Church.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how I fell into that. I did it one time and then it's like, now it's expected the first Sunday of the month. Now 40 biscuits and that's, oh yeah, I gotta keep the skills
That's
up.
good.
Well, there's
That helps you keep your blood.
I was getting all that.
there's one up here.
When you're in your 70s, I think there's one who's still out there. That's.
Isn't that hilarious?
That is, it's funny, it's cute though.
Yeah.
And what's better though is that he's comfortable enough saying it to you too, you know, that, I mean, and that just, you know, reflects the relationship that you have.
One of my kids just graduated from CSU, and he's gonna study abroad in
Yeah.
Japan. When he was about 16, before all the flat guys learned stuff, they wanted to invite me
Let me
to
double check.
and again, I had a really sharp kid that obviously is a CSU graduate now. But he's got out of
And that was always especially fun.
I have no idea, it's not a lot around, but
How can you judge the
yeah,
people to invite in?
and
Yeah.
how can you, you can't, mention the sex. Like that. Oh, yeah. Someone goes, oh no, he's white chocolate. Like chocolate, he's like, you right? But he goes, I can't claim who you are or you're not, or your mixed race or whatever. It's just part of what your DNA.
Yeah.
Can't fake it.
Did you want to climb over?
He was gonna jump, didn't he?
I thought he was gonna do a little pole vault there or whatever.
it's good to hear now.
Yeah, you look like you're going to.
I'd have turned the camera on.
You wouldn't want to miss it. 'Cause it never happened
One
again.
shot.
Yeah, that would be that. And the hands on screen. That's cool.
You're fine, take a chair.
That's all right. Right. It don't matter, I ain't got no padding downstairs anyways.
Those are the church pews that are designed for like short stays. Jerry.
No, I haven't.
So Jerry.
Someone.
Yeah, saxophone for the cowboy band.
Someone that plays in the company and ran into them today.
Female, male,
Female.
Judy Murphy. Down at Idaho Springs?
DJ ran.
Okay, up here in town?
And, I think it's in Walmart or something. Maybe in the doctor's office. Bounced around a lot.
Where's your
You see?
And you were doing
I still have those
You
pictures.
get stuck coming back just for a little bit.
You decided to work all this summer.
Catch up on a few emails, so.
Yeah, okay. You can run up to Lowe's, well, I mean, typically it is anyway, but summer's my destination. Yeah, exactly,
We've been caught twice.
yeah.
I've been on the avoid it. Yeah, I got caught for a little bit.
It actually stopped.
Our vice president of marketing and communications,
Okay.
we're doing a 10-minute thing during the 25th anniversary, 10 minutes. Oh, well, the story you bring up. I said, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that was,
Thank you for coming to see that. They come here 20 years. And now they want me to give her 3 minutes of the stories and tell. I'm like, maybe I'd be happy to talk to her, but I didn't know. She wasn't right there.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know. But I think the owners of the Broncos stopped by.
Okay, everybody, I show 6 o'clock, so we're gonna get going. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Georgetown to order.
20 minutes.
It is Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. Let's go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next will be roll call. I am Lynette Kelsey, police judge. Rob Connell.
Here.
Deanne Powell.
Here.
John Jennings.
Here.
Dwayne Gazinski.
Here.
Mary Smith.
Here.
And Rich Barrows.
Here.
Wonderful. Next, we will do agenda approval. Jerry has informed me that we need to add an additional item to our executive session.
Yeah, I'd like to add a very short item on the executive session, and that is some legal advice on the pending Bill Street litigation. So that's the only thing I need to add, and it won't take long.
Okay.
Will we be calling in our guest tomorrow?
Okay. And then, Rick needs to add a payable to our list of payables. You wanna go ahead and describe it?
The Parks and Rec truck has kicked the dust, and it's gonna cost way more than buying another one. And so we've got another truck to be the alternative, and it's in great condition, and we've got it checked out, and we wanna buy that truck for $4,000. So,
Okay,
And then,
Deanne?
We need to drop the minutes for the last meeting, the one from the 25th, because I was unable to be able to check the recorded proceedings due to a technical glitch.
I don't think we need to drop the approval of that because of that.
I do. I was not able to go back and find some exact wording that I would like to have to know that I'm in agreement with the minutes from July 25th. And the reason I couldn't check them is because they weren't entered in a place. Ask Jennifer, she knows, she just finally got it straightened out this afternoon.
Okay. The rest of the board, how do you feel about it? Rob?
Well, I think if you were here, I mean, wouldn't that be better if you're again running into technical difficulties that are preventing us from moving forward on items, and being present is probably the solution.
So keep the minutes.
Yeah.
Approval on it. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Come to me.
Dwayne, you're in agreement, okay. John?
Yeah.
Agreement.
Rich?
Yeah, let's move ahead.
Okay, Mary? Okay, we will keep that approval on the agenda. Anything else to add or delete? Okay, who would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Absolutely. I can't vote on July 25th because it was not my fault that I couldn't check and the wording of some things. The town did not post the recording.
All right, it's understood. Thank you. Okay, audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Do we have anybody here? Yes, Joel. Go ahead and state your name and your address for the record.
Jules Tomasi, longtime resident. My 2 addresses are 1021 Main and 1774 Main. I'm here today. I used to be the town road and bridge supervisor, and as a tax-paying and longtime carrying resident, I'm concerned that since I was let go after my FMLA ran out, that I never see any road and bridge people doing anything but driving around in the work trucks. I've even followed them a couple blocks back and they just drive around town and go back up to the shop or whatever. So that's item 1. Item 2 is I'm pretty sure because my house 1774 looks straight at the road and bridge shop, that the building, steel building finally being constructed is a foot too high and was put too close to the building, which both were specified by Safe Built in their original plans. So I'm glad to see it's going up. I will also say I'm elated to see drainage fixing going on. When I was up there at the shop, there was 3 different drainage studies that all said the same thing spread out over 20 years, and I'm sure weren't free. So that always bothered me. The third thing is I set up and kept spreadsheets. I can tell you the nickel outside of a variable factor that I don't know employee overhead. But equipment costs, I had 67 different items, signs, reflectors, potholes, paving, grading. Each had a code. We logged our time we might do 3 things. We logged our time at the end of each day. In the morning while my guys were warming equipment and getting supplies, I would enter my spreadsheets. They're probably still on the computer. I filled them out under Brian Carlson because I didn't care, who it was under. Anyway, I had put together 3 spreadsheet items for Kent. And in talking to 1 or 2 board members, I believe they never saw the light of day. First one was from the truck route Rose Street all the way around to Rose again. You could fit 60 to 70 parking meters, just like Idaho Springs uses. And if Coraloo and the people that own the shops want to park in front of their store, they can go feed the meters. The second one was when I first started doing weekend trash, which there's like, when I left, 66 barrels empty daily or checked daily. Anyway, I put together a 15-question survey of the people down at the lake. And 1 lady and her grandson saw it on the highway, stopped for a picnic. 1 guy was a somewhat permanent fisherman from Idaho Springs. And every other group, out of 30 groups people talked to, was recreating from Denver. They answered my questions. We don't ride the train, we don't eat at the restaurants, we don't buy anything downtown unless it's worms and weights. And my feeling is with the same kind of a parking kiosks, 3 of them, have 4, whatever's necessary, it'd be easy peasy. The money I think I gave Kent was about 50% what I really thought. The parking meters, I gave him 60,000. It's probably closer to 100 to 150. $2 for 3 hours, which is probably the average length of stay. The lake I told him 100,000 based on the number of cars I kept track of over several weekends. It's probably closer to 200. The third item is, or the next item, the milling pipe. All those millings were top quality millings, 1 inch and smaller. My goal before Kent ridiculously let me go after my FMLA was to pave all 9 extra miles of town. I did 1.5 miles paved, 1.3 treated, rolled, and set to grade. But if you're not gonna use it, I would not move it to the other little triangle town lot. That'll cost you a fortune. I would either use it on the roads with the motor grader, the watering truck, and the roller, just like I did, set the grades or it's gonna turn into a city block of average 12 feet deep concrete that will be impossible to take apart. It's already gone way too long. So it's gonna have to have a Bobcat jackhammer to break it and then run it through the grizzly. And anyway, so those are kind of my main concerns, that I would like to see some changes. Honestly, if the road and bridge people worked for me, they wouldn't last a week with what I've seen. They took out a $1,200 tote of the material that softens to do the roads. Sitting outside, it's good for 25 years if you never freeze it. So it's gone. I'm highly concerned that there is a wrecked old 74 Buick project car, a Jeep Willys project car, personal camper trucks, pop-up campers, trailers that are owned by road and bridge people or someone else. And I want to know where I can park my semi-truck, 2 trailers, and 7 cars and 3 motorcycles. So that's all I got to say. I would love to see some kind of spreadsheets. Honestly, I would not continue working with the individuals at Road and Bridge. I do have a question. How did the parks truck die?
So can I respond?
Sure.
This is really awkward to hear this when you could have come to my office to talk to me about operations. Instead, you're
Okay,
talking
I've
to the
never met
legislative
you. I've only
body.
been back from Arizona for 2 weeks. I'm trying to
I
set
would
up.
love to talk to you.
Okay, that's fine.
And it's just, it's not appropriate.
Okay,
I'd love to talk to you about every one, and I wrote down every one of the things you said.
okay, good.
But I take offense when you slam my staff. There's a lot of things that we could do.
Facts are not slams. I'm
No,
sorry,
but-
sir.
No, we can talk in my office, and I would love to address every one of these things.
Okay, great. My time's done. Thanks, everybody. Glenn, stop by or call me or something.
Anyone else here for audience business? Yes.
Hi, my name is Tom and this is Bo. We purchased the Hotel Chamonix and we are opening a drug and rehab facility called Serenity for Life that helps women. It's not gonna be a detox center. We're just doing strictly therapy there. And we're asking if if you would grant us a special use permit to open our business. Yeah, just basically get our business open if you can. I know right now we'll be paying a lot of taxes and we're willing to pay whatever kind of special taxes you guys are willing to do to get this business open. So yeah, we're just here.
You know, we were on the agenda a couple weeks ago or a month ago or so, and we're just hoping to get back on the agenda and for discussion.
Well,
You should know there's a process for special use permit, that you make an application, and there's a form, and you fill it out, and there's supporting information.
Okay.
That then first gets heard by the planning commission in a hearing, and their recommendation says unless there's an appeal to this board. So you really have to, the code lays this out, but there's a process for it. Okay. And that's not sort of show up at a meeting and have a vote that we've got it.
No, yeah, we weren't saying that. We're just asking you guys to think about it. And
they certainly can, but the initial deciding body isn't these people.
Yeah.
The planning commission, after you file an application.
Okay.
And the office is open every day for you to do that.
Okay.
So, you're encouraged, we're aware of your interest in.
Okay.
And that.
I appreciate
it. We've looked at it.
Yeah.
As a process, and if you're still starting that process, I'm sure we'll conclude somehow.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And I'll also make another note. Because of your request, it doesn't fit in the code right now. And so they're in discussions, they haven't made a decision on what direction they're gonna go. And so you can't get a special use permit yet because that's not allowable. And so you'd have to either, they would have to change code in order to allow that use, or you would have to rezone it. I think those are your two options right now. Rezone in order to do a residential zoning that would allow your use. But at this point, they're still in discussions, and even the board is still in discussions to change code.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry, the board of selectmen.
yeah, okay,
So they'll actually, if code changes, then you would have to go back to the planning commission in order to get that a special use permit first, but we're not there, so we still have some more discussion on it.
okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. For your time.
Anybody else for finance business? Okay. Next, we will go on to the payables. We have, in addition to the item that Rick brought up, we have the payables, which are dated from July 21st through August 3rd, 2023. Any questions or comments on those payables?
So I just had a question. I'll just bring it to the board's attention, but it's also been answered by Mary. Under Parks and Rec, I was just questioning the gas and electricity for Nicel Anderson on page 2, how long we were going to continue to reimburse them. And she told me that that should be wrapping up this month. And
Yeah,
It is,
it has been transferred.
okay, I figured since you were going to be giving us a parks update too, that just.
We should have one more after
Right.
this one, and then we're done.
Okay, and that, I'm
The
sorry,
date, I think, is like August 2nd or 3rd,
okay,
with the actual.
I mean, because we're running our own power and everything over there now,
Yeah.
so. And then, on page 3, under the sales tax fund capital improvement, the last item, 730, the capital improvement building, just questioning on the gazebo repair. I know it had been asked about installing a railing on that. And so I'm just concerned if this is the final balance for the repairs that hadn't been, that railing piece hadn't been added on yet.
What railing? Excuse me.
To my recollection, the railing wasn't included in the repairs. You brought it up, but that wasn't included in the contract for repairs. So
But there
we
was,
treated it as a separate item.
so is that going to be added on at some point, or do you recall?
I barely recall, I do remember it being brought second after we did the contract with him, but I don't know if it was ever added to the contract. Yeah.
Okay,
No.
so those are my questions,
Okay.
comments,
Okay.
etc.
Any other questions or comments on the payables? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the payables dated 7/21/2023 to 8/3/2023
With the additional item.
with the additional item.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payables. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we'll take the minutes one at a time. The first set of minutes we got are from our meeting on July 11th, 2023. Any comments, corrections? Yes, Deanne?
In the audience business, Mr. Blugerman asked that the town, he said the town has jurisdiction, and that was agreed by the board. And he asked us to look into it. I think that needs to be stated in there someplace. That the town will look into it, will try to enact the Jake break regulations.
I don't think they can do that, so I don't think they said that.
Yeah, we're looking into it, Deanne, and CDOT's involved, and there's no regulation that we can get them I mean, even the police, the CDOT, they've all sent a memo saying there's nothing that they can enforce on that. However, we are going to start doing speed checks with semis in order to start trying to regulate the speed, but we only have 3 officers and we can't do it all day long. But we think that that is one of our applications.
I am talking about in the audience business, it should say someplace that the town is going to try to take action. The things you just said are taking action, but right now we're talking about audience business in some minutes.
But we don't take action on audience business. We just listen.
He asked for it and it was agreed that we would look into it.
We'll look at it. Yeah. We will look at it. And that's what we did. We are looking at it.
You already did it, that's right.
Okay, but the point here is she would like the minutes to be corrected to add that. Is that?
It's fair enough.
Okay.
Right?
He did ask. Well, he asked about what kind of enforcement could be done regarding the jailbreak noise. We don't know. I mean, that's mentioned enough of it in my book, so.
I can add the town to look into it.
Objections to that? Okay, done. What's
Okay,
next?
all right. Anything else? I did have one item on the last page of these minutes, under the protocol for meetings for in-person attendance. It is phrased so that it sounds like the town attorney is suggesting all this to the board, and it was really the board that came to, staff and the attorney to ask about this, so,
And we talked about that, and we agreed to take a town attorney suggested for to Mr. Roglin explain that the board agreed to direct the town attorney to research and summarize options.
is that agreeable with everybody?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Any others?
Mary had a typo correction on
staff items on page 2, just to
put the Gerald Dahl distributed a memo to the board. She wanted me to put in the board packets.
just sounded to
Because he
me
wasn't
like
at the
Jerry
meeting.
was here and he wasn't
that's
that day, so
Okay.
just less active. I move to accept the minutes as amended for July 11, 2023.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the July 11th, 2023 meeting as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the minutes from our meeting of July 25th, 2023. Any corrections or comments there?
There were just a few typos in spelling that Jen took care of.
Okay,
I move to accept the minutes of July 25th, 2023 as corrected.
I'll second.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the July 25th, 2023 minutes as corrected. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed. They weren't adequately available to double check.
All right, thank you. Motion passed. Next, we have, under new and unfinished business, we have a Strauss Park refresh project update from Bob Townsend.
You should all have the end of July report in your packet. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on that. And just to keep it brief, we're on track to, we have basically two parts of the work that are active and going on. One is 3A, which is getting the park ready for the final landscaping materials, which involves the undergrounds and concrete foundations. The undergrounds are pretty much all in. The foundation work is, I'm gonna meet with them tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have pouring concrete end of the week, early next week. They're gonna come in and do the formwork tomorrow. The other thing is we've started work on the, moving forward with the construction of the fire pit. We've ordered the materials from, the place out, was Artistic Steel, the log set and burners and all that stuff. And we've got the gas line installed. So we're moving forward on that. The good news is budget-wise, phase 3A, we have a budget of 75,000. We are committed with the estimates that we have in hand. We're a little over 50,000. So the only thing I don't have a good handle on right now is final grading, but it should be well within the 25 this month. So, and the fire pit, we're committed at about $6,000 today. That includes the down payment for the fire pit launch. So we're in good shape on both of those. And I think I found an appropriate brown tone stone that is available. All this veneer stone is like 6 to 8 weeks lead time. So, but I found a place. I just went there this afternoon and checked them out. I'm going to get some samples to bring to the DRC Thursday. And if they approve it, then I'm going to go ahead and get the stuff to get started around the fire pit, and then we'll put a hold on the rest of it. We should hear on the grant funding sometime in the month of August. That's as close as I can get on that. So keep your fingers crossed. Cindy may have more up-to-date information.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it. We're on track. We're about where we had hoped to be. So things are going well.
Well, if we put that fire pit in, will that won't preclude us from getting approval on grants, will it?
No,
No,
it was
we're doing it
taken
totally
out.
outside the grant
It's
process.
not, but they won't consider that whenever they're approving the grant?
No, because it was excluded from the grant. Right.
It's not in their scope of work. It's not in the scope of work.
I was just wondering if that would be a flying weapon for further qualification, that's all.
I don't know in that, but at this point, that this grant should finish Strauss Park for us. And so, if we're talking to them again, it's gonna be about someplace else.
Okay.
And they do know we're gonna continue with the fire pit.
Oh.
They were just said they could not use their money to do it.
Got it.
They realize that we haven't quite did off the plan. We are not hiding it
No.
to that extent.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks so much, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob.
All right, next item is subsurface utility engineering investigation from HR Green for Argentine North project.
Hi. The Argentine North project, as you know, is also a CDOT funded, ARPA funded, federal ARPA funded project. And doing that, we have to go through the normal CDOT reviews, which means that you present 30% plans and all of the various specialties in CDOT. Structures, materials, utilities, all of them, review the plans, and you go through they call it an FIR, your first set of approvals, and they point out things that you may not have done or need to do because you have to follow the state regulations for CDOT, which in the utilities department created a problem for us. Because the recent legislation from the Colorado State Legislature, I say recent, it's about 4 years old. It requires that if you are doing any digging in one of these jobs, that you do a subsurface utility engineering investigation. And they have various levels of that. This is a state law. They have various levels of that investigation. And because we are putting in lights, this has not to do with the sidewalk. It has to do with putting in lights which require a deeper, excavation into the ground. They indicate that we would have to do a subsurface utility investigation for the east side where the lights are going, at a level B, and that was in nobody's budget, certainly not ours. Our design firm has, received a number of bids on doing this because we learned this, several weeks, well, 4 weeks ago, and so we've been out searching. And the lowest proposal they received was for $19,734. For them to supervise it, they added approximately $700. So we would have a bill of $20,582 that is not currently in our budget for this project. This is the side. It's interesting to me. I think one of the things that has happened is that CDOT so frequently and utilities have continuously gotten broken, specifically because we put broadband under the ground, not only because we all know that we use this, and so the state was attempting to make it a little bit more difficult for that kind of utility problem to happen. I don't think they intended to catch small scale projects, but we do get a call. So I have talked with Mary and talked a bit, and Rick certainly knows that this is going on. And because we're not building this summer and we're building next summer, we can probably work the finances to find the money to cover this, but we need your authorization to tell them that we can go ahead. Any other questions about the project?
Any questions for Sandy?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the amendment proposal with HR Green to provide subsurface utility engineering investigation for the Argentine North project not to exceed $20,582.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the amendment proposal with HR Green for the subsurface utility engineering investigation for the Argentine North project not to exceed $20,582. Okay, Deanne?
Where will the funds be coming from, even if it is next year?
Oh, we have budgeted construction funds for this in this year. And we're not using them, so it comes from those, and it will have to be, made up for in the next year's budget.
Okay.
So they're already there and we aren't scrabbling it from elsewhere to try to cover it. Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay, is this put out to bid? Did we receive other bids, or is this one of the preferred companies, engineering firms that's involved?
We asked HR Green to do this. If you would like to see the rest of the bids they received, the highest one they received was $35,000 to do this.
Well, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
Well, they initially thought that it should cost 15 or under. That was HR Green's guess. We asked them to take the lead on collecting the bids and estimates, so that we weren't trying to do that ourselves. Quite frankly, not knowing who in the business does these things, and I can ask HR Green to send them to me if you'd like.
No, I just was hoping that we had done more than just one bid, and I would imagine that this is something that's a little bit more exclusive than just going and ask anybody that, to do this. So that's why I was curious if they were the preferred or recommended,
Apparently you have to have a certain level of training and license to do this thing, and Okay. But the first, that's why, quite frankly, took this long to come. Our FIR was a while ago, and we weren't at all pleased with what the first results were for the soup. We're not pleased with this either, but we're better than we were.
Okay. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Next we have Proposition 123, application requesting permission to apply.
All right, so before I go through, did everyone have a chance to read this? If not, I can read it. It's very technical. It's a great program that allows the state through DOLA to start doing affordable housing projects. In order to do it, you have to apply to be part of this program. You're not eligible unless you apply and get it approved by the state. Organizations that can do this are nonprofits, community land trusts, private entities, and local governments. There is several $100 million that will be put into this for DOLA for affordable housing across the board. It's a little involved, so there's an application process that will state a lot of things. One of them is called a baseline to kind of see what is the minimum commitment that you're making with the state to bring affordable housing in. And so Sally Rush is doing it on behalf of the county. And so she's had to do individual baselines for each municipality already. We're working through that and trying to tweak it. But it looks, it's going to be a 3-year commitment of about 16 or 17 units that we would have to bring to the whole town. Well, we're planning on doing a lot more than that as we're working through some initiatives right now. However, the deadline is approaching for us to make that decision, but I wanted to bring this to the board because there is a commitment that we have to make for the town. And so there are things lined up for training, and we have several training times lined up. However, I need your approval in order to move forward for this.
Also, that there is no penalty if we don't meet that projection.
Yeah, there's a thing in the packet that I gave you that says there's no cost or financial penalty for the program, or if the organization does not meet the baseline quota. It just means that you're going to have to reset and kind of go through the program a little slower. However, we're not going to lose anything. We'll continue to do it, even if we don't do any affordable housing. However, we've got some measures already in our code that we've done for all new development. There's 10%. So we're going to start doing increments of meeting those goals for our development too.
Yes, Deanne?
This is a real small valley. There aren't lots of places left to build in it. We don't want to look like Dillon with all the little cracker box houses beside I-70 and all of that. I don't see how Georgetown itself can have more than half a dozen new building projects without us starting to compromise the quality of life here. We have got to keep that first and foremost in our minds when we're doing things like this. And despite the fact that it sounds wonderful to have the state hand us a bunch of money for projects we might need in the future, I don't think we should be thinking about building bigger. There are other places in the county, granted, housing is ridiculous right now. It's so tight, and there does need to be more made. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, not here. And that's not a NIMBY. That's an observation of what we've got. We're already starting to ruin how the look feel of Georgetown is with all the stuff down by the lake. That's what people on I-70 see. And so we've got to keep that in mind. And I don't know that we should even bother applying for this because it's killing Georgetown. It's ruining Georgetown-ness of the valley.
Okay. I happen to disagree. I think this is a good step in the right direction if we want to encourage more affordable housing. I think there is space. Yes, it is difficult to get used to new things where it was empty property before, but I think that adjustment is something that we just have to, I think we have to get used to it. So, that's my opinion on this proposal.
I think we made adjustments in our code to allow us to be able to compete for those dollars and provide some affordable housing units. It's not gonna be massive. And to be honest, it'll probably be down by my house, Mary's house, John's house. And people cannot afford to live for the most part and work in Georgetown. And if we can make that happen for some families, I think that's wonderful.
I'd like to add that part of the plea to our voters when we asked them to pass the lodging tax was to support workforce housing, that this sounds like, you know, is, yeah, exactly, that this is in the direction that this is going. So I think we have to be responsive to our voters in that respect too. I recognize that.
Okay, any other comments? Okay.
Yeah,
There is a recommended motion in the packet, if anyone would like to make it.
I'll make that motion. I move to approve the request to allow the town administrator to complete the application, Proposition 123, affordable housing funding. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request for this application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed. It's
Okay.
Georgetown is special. We need to keep it special.
Okay. Next, we have the Board of Selectmen retreat. September dates are proposed.
Yeah, and so when I spoke to him from the last conversation that we had, I brought this back, and he's happy to pick a Friday evening, do a session, a dinner, a session, and then Friday morning, have a breakfast, and then do a session. 3-hour Friday night, 4-hour Saturday. And so here's the dates proposed. You got the 15th and 16th, the 22nd, 23rd, or the 29th and 30th. Where are you going?
So one of the things that we had was mentioned was possibly doing a marathon meeting, like all on a Saturday of 6 hours. He was anticipating a 6 to 7 hour, opportunity. And that was one of the, things that he had proposed too. I mean, does that work? Does everybody want to split it over Friday, Saturday, or could we do a working breakfast and lunch and plow through this in one day? You like one day?
I like one day.
Okay, do I hear one?
I'll make breakfast.
Biscuits and gravy?
Yes.
So
Others.
we got 4 votes for one, all in one day. John, how about you, Deanne?
It depends on the day. I'm not available on the, 23rd, 24th?
Okay, the 22nd, 23rd.
Yeah, that.
So, and I am not available on the 30th if we were doing just one day Saturday.
Sounds like the 16th.
So 16th? Does the 16th work for everybody?
I'll do it on 16.
Okay. Excellent.
What do we get ourselves?
Board retreat and faculty.
We're not going anywhere, Rob. We're staying in Georgetown. We're not going to Hawaii.
Rob, it's going to be fun to have the retreat mentality.
That's right. Have a fun mentality. Put your phone on.
Yes, it's just going to be informal. And so what I did is I attached some previous agendas that he's done with other towns. Just to kind of show you what he's able to do. It's going to be more strategic planning, and that mindset of us to think about our projects for next year and affordable housing and ARPA funds and all these other kind of things, because we want to just kind of get realigned together what we're going after.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
I'm going to be meeting with him to kind of talk through a little bit more, but if you've got some strong opinions, please come talk to me.
Where exactly will this be?
I'm going to suggest see if I can get the old school or maybe the Hamel House or something a little different just to get us out of this room. So to be determined, but I'd like to be somewhere else.
Okay,
retreat-ish.
Across the
Do
street.
we have a star
so do
here?
we need a motion for that?
I just need a direction.
Okay, not really a motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we need a motion because of the funding for this guy? Or did we do that already? Or don't you need that yet,
we
Mary?
don't really.
It's within my limits.
Okay. Full of the power.
Alright. Okay, next we have set of items, town administrators report and task list.
Yes.
Does anyone have questions on my admin report? Because I've got a lot of other things to go through.
Excellent.
I just wanted to report that the bridge by my house got finished today.
Wasn't that
It was,
wonderful?
it's stalled, but it's all nice and smooth now.
The bridges are
So I
impressive.
assume
They really are.
So I'll start with that then. This
Okay.
side is, they have finished, I'm sorry, go ahead, Deanne.
Are we gonna talk about the Spring Street Bridge?
Yes, I will give an update. Yeah, it's on the list. So the road and bridge update first. I'm very proud of what we're doing right now. We're doing a lot of stuff, and ESI has finally finished the paving of Rose Street. We're focusing heavily on potholes right now, fixing those all up and down Main Street. And I know it's bad, but Scooter and I and his team have been working on identifying the worst ones to go ahead and fix those. All 5 bridges were also paved or resurfaced, and they look great. I've inspected them. And so I know it feels nice and smooth to go over. The crew is planning, or ESI's crew is planning to come back tomorrow to do the finishing the concrete pans down on Main. And so in the meantime too, there is a couple places where there's gaps, where the asphalt had a little gap between the pan and up going towards 14th Street. That will all be finished too. And so all of it's done, but they're gonna plan to finish the concrete pans tomorrow, unless it pours down rain, but that's the plan for that. Did you have a question?
Yeah, this isn't my ward, so I think I'm talking out. But I've heard from several constituents of I think it's Ward 3, maybe it might be Ward 2.
Where
Sure, where you gerrymander.
Which bridge are you talking about? Which road are you talking about?
The intersection of 14th and Rose.
Two.
Down right by-
That's 2.
That's true.
Ward 2.
Ward 2.
Oh, yeah.
So they said that the speeds are excessive, they think that the paving is going to increase. Live right across the street.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go there, you can cut it in. No, it's okay, finish what you're saying, I will help support what I will.
Well, I know I've got some support here.
Yeah.
They want to know if maybe it could be a 3-way stop or speed bumps, but,
We also have a better option.
I am stealing your thunder all night.
Oh, let's see the better option.
Yeah,
What was it?
oh, go ahead, finish.
Or just a 3-way stop, or, well, I don't think speed bumps are the answer, because, people roll through those stop signs as well. But when it was dirt, the speeds were excessive. They think now that it's gonna be paved, it's just gonna be fast.
And I was gonna comment on how beautiful the road is, because I drove it for the first time coming here. It's smooth and very fast, and it was hard to not go fast on it, so I can imagine what the tourists will do. I did talk with a few members of the police department, and so, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, you can't put in stop signs if it's to control speed. The next question with that is, how do we, there's a few areas too, Main Street's the same way, we have such a long stretch with no stop signs that it's easy for people just to go and go and go. Stop signs, they usually don't stop all the way, they slow down.
Let's put a roundabout.
What's that?
Let's put a roundabout in there.
I was gonna bring it to the next meeting when I get more information on it, and you're probably gonna approach by it too, Rick. But there's a way, like, we can't really go roundabout there, but there's a way, I forget what it's called, but you put things in that it forces people to kind of slow down, so they would go on each side of that road, so people have to kind of. What's it called?
Are they treadles?
I guess, yeah, I didn't really understand the name.
What are they? Like, describe how they.
Yeah, but they're
Little
reflective
islands.
reflective cones that sit on each side so that, because already, some of the neighbors' kids were riding out there and they're kids, so they don't look, they just cruise right out the road to make that right. And it worries me. I don't even let my kids go that way. They go the other way because I'm worried about one of the kids getting hurt. And we have another family that when they're in town, they have 4 young kids that's just down there. So we need to figure out how to go about doing something
Can we
there.
at least have, maybe small children playing?
They don't work. Leslie lets them out.
Yeah.
They're allowed to sign in.
Okay, I can bring some options to you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, options. And so how do we move forward with that?
I will, I'll bring this, I'll use direct staff and I will bring some options to you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those drainage dips
Yeah.
by our house,
They-
that slow
They
people
slow
down,
them
boy.
Yeah.
It slows them
You lose an
down.
oil pan on one of those, and it'll slow you down.
And they work for drainage too.
Yes,
Right.
they do.
Okay, so
Do it
Jerry,
purpose.
The secondary is.
Okay, so since we mentioned the spring, the pedestrian bridge near Spring Street, and so, Tom Elliott was gonna come tonight, but he had another engagement, so he's not able to come talk about it, or at least talk about history and past and his concerns that were, he's planning on coming next week. There's not much of an update, except I did reach out to the appraisal's office. There's no, record of ownership of that bridge. And so we're gonna do a little more research. I think the next step is probably do a title search to see who actually owns it. And that's kind of what even Jerry suggested. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. So that's where we're at. We're gonna table it. We're gonna continue to do a little more research to find ownership and go back and go from there. I will go to the next one on my list here is, and this is no order, I'm just going through what I put on my folder here. I kind of need direction from the staff. I have an opinion, and I have what I would like to do, but I kind of need you to bless it. And so it's the assistant position. And I just want to give you an update of where I'm at, and what I've done, and then what I'd like to see happen going forward. Originally, I brought, this year, a budget to be approved, a job description and a title. And so what we did is we got approved, we posted that position, and we were able to get a few qualified candidates. And then, we put it on Indeed to try to get as big net as we can to get candidates. However, I rejected 99% of them, and it's not what we want, and it's not, and train and develop somebody who had no skill. So it came down to 3 candidates. The candidate that had the most experience is who got selected, and then he declined. I didn't understand at the time, but I do know now. His mom has cancer, she has 6 months, and he wants to move as close as he can to be with her, and then to be with his father afterward. And so I completely understand. I was heartbroken to lose him and heartbroken to hear of why. However, I reposted it and got really the same as before. And so I even reached out to universities, all the master's programs, graduates, and nothing. And so I did more research, and even at the last conferences, taking some time to talk to other administrators and get their guidance. And the CML also has leaders who help shepherd me. And so it's Joanna Spine, she was the city administrator for Durango. She's my mentor. And she suggested go for an assistant administrator as opposed to assistant to the administrator. We may be able to get somebody who's more experienced and who's eager to jump into a role where maybe it's not available to them. So I tweaked the job description. I have it here. I did not print it out to you because I was working on it today. I've tweaked it a little bit to be more assistant administrator-ish. And my suggestion is keep the salary at the high point as opposed to the low point, and then build into an increase for next year after a probation period so that we can afford them now to get an assistant administrator to then have high level that can also be staff support for DRC, who would understand code and things like that, and also be backup for doing permits for Jen, and not backup, sorry. Backup to help, but also take some of the other things off of Jen's plate, because she's already worked. Be someone that can help Mary when she needs things too, but staff support, kind of what we need. And so I'm asking guidance, and I'd like to move forward by posting this as an assistant administrator as opposed to an assistant to the administrator.
I think the need is still there, and we need to get support for you and the rest of the staff. And if, you know, we need to massage it so that it looks a little different, and we all know what it took to hire you. And so, but we can't make the candidates apply if, you know, they're not interested. So we can just sweeten the pot and just.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to say.
So we could offer them more than we offer you, and then, no. Kidding.
But I would say one other thing before your comment, Dwayne, is I'm in the process of doing a salary study from CNL's listserv, and it doesn't take hard to justify 75,000 for an assistant. It doesn't. I mean, it's across the board. It's way higher. But we're rural, and I can say we're mountain town-ish, and we're gonna. I mean, it's still a good salary for this community for someone to go after. And it's not going to be hard to prove that, but I'm just telling you from doing a salary study, it's easy to prove that that's a good starting position and trying to move them to what the comparables, because they're way higher than that in the comparables. So, anyways.
Well, I was just saying, I think the end result, it still becomes the same, because if you're hire assistant to an assistant, the whole idea was getting them to an assistant.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna want more money anyway, and the idea is to keep them here, to help. So if we find somebody that fits that position, can help out now, it actually works out to be better anyway. If it costs a little more, it's gonna cost anyway eventually, right?
You had 3 candidates, how come you didn't talk to number 2?
The committee decided not to go in that direction. Yeah. Good question.
Any other, yes, Dan?
Would it be possible for us to somehow, and I'm thinking, make a deal with some of the people who are interested in doing rentals but are hung up because they can't get the permits or something? And if we could make a deal with them that this person could come in as your assistant and we would provide housing via those guys, would that be any kind of a thing we could work out? Because housing seems to be a big hang up.
Well, I mean, that's a good question, Deanne. I had several people lined up to have this person, that our #1 candidate, to be a renter. Several people were excited to be able to help out. So I don't think that the issue is high rent. I think we can work with people who've already reached out to us saying, I'll save this for a couple months if you can get this person. Because they understand it's a high level, it'll be a good person to be part of our town. So that really wasn't the issue of high rent. We can find lower rents.
Excellent.
I was just thinking that might be a perk to add in so that it would draw them in, because most of these people aren't from here and have no idea who to contact and how. And it just seems like it might be the tipping thing.
I know many towns have done that and are doing that, is having housing allowances for their staff. I don't know if we're necessarily.
Okay. I'm in favor of massaging it, as you said, to attract more applicants.
Okay.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Because you look through planning and go through the little process, so.
Okay, does anyone have any issues? Just want to, for direction.
Okay.
Yeah, like the last one.
No.
Great, thank you. Means a lot. Next is, I mentioned this before, but I've never gone in detail, so I want to give the details of this. I'm not going to explain it, I'm just going to read it to you. This is, our staff has come up with 7 values that we hold as a staff team and what we strive towards. And so I just want to let you know that we go through it and we try to remind ourselves when we have staff meetings that these are the culture, this is the values that we hold to as a staff team. So there's 7. 1, we believe public trust is important and having open communication with one another. Number 2, we believe it is important to always help our neighboring communities. Number 3, we believe in being positive and serving our community, especially in the little things. Number 4, we believe it is important for people to be heard and seek to understand. Number 5, we believe in always supporting one another publicly. And I want to pause for a second because I can't help but define that. It is really important that we all feel empowered to do our job, though there may be conflict, but not in public. Is that we hold that I will always have my staff's back in public. Number 6, we believe that all people deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, and equity. Number 7, last, we believe in keeping your word and doing what you say. So these are things that I just want to bring to your attention. This is what our staff has agreed. We came up with this together. It wasn't my ideas. These were all of ours coming together. I'm very proud of that. Another thing to bring to your attention, the Clear Creek Fire Authority Committee, which Lynette's on there with me, we have selected through the RFP process a group called Mission CIT in order to start doing the evaluation with the fire board. They are planning to come in town August 16th, 17th, and 18th in order to start working and getting a feel for the depths of the municipalities in the county. August 16th, they are planning to talk to us. So you don't have to be part of it, however, they would love to meet with you. And unfortunately, the time on their schedule is at 7 p.m. And so I will make accommodations for them to come here. We can talk. And so if you want to meet this team, they would love to meet with you and have listen to your thoughts and questions and desires regarding the fire authority board.
Is that the third Wednesday? Is that, I don't know my phone,
Yes,
but
yeah.
that's a planning commission
That's all good, yeah.
meeting night, just,
I think it's a Wednesday.
I think that's the planning commission meeting.
Okay, so if it's not here, it'll be to be determined. I'll let you know. So good, thanks for letting me know. Okay, so that's that. Now, these are some code enforcement, just to keep bringing to your attention. A second letter to Mr. Koski on Rose has been sent out today. And so this is the second final letter for him to make repairs. If not, then we'll start our process of finding contractors to do repairs, and then he would be responsible to pay for it. If not, then the lien would be placed on his own. So I have contacted Mr. Koski several times. We've not been able to coordinate a time to talk. He is planning on coming in town, I think, next week, where we would walk the property, and even though it's got descriptions in the letter what needs to happen, he just wanted to talk through it with me. But he is planning to do the repairs, is what he told me. But still, the letter was the second letter, since he's not made any repairs. The second letter also to Mr. Tanko, and that is 700 House, was sent today as well, and they've not contacted me, and I've not been able to get in touch with them either. So there's been zero contact with him, but the second letter was taken out. And then lastly, the pole house that's going towards Loop Drive and that was moved to that area, a letter was sent to them today stating, because History Colorado is anticipating this letter so that they can start initiating putting plans towards fixing these issues. So they are aware that they just wanted a formal letter. That letter was sent today. So another thing to bring to your attention, it's not looking for decisions, just to be an update. The Road and Bridge Committee for Silver Plume has invited our Road and Bridge team to come up and make some conversations. They don't have a staff anymore in order to do road and bridge improvements. And they did have a part-time person, but they were not able to pay for benefits. It was just a part-time help. We hired that person he's full-time with benefits and help. We were helping. So they reached out to us to see if the town of Georgetown would be interested in contracting in order to do improvements there. And so they're asking, will the town, this is still soft, we're not ready to do an IGA or anything like that, but just are we interested in helping them?
So do you have like a fee schedule that you would like?
No, we're not there.
Okay.
We're not there yet. It's more of like, do we have the capacity? Do we want to help? And I think, the answer is yes. Of course, we want to help our community. I think it's even part of our values is to help our, and be supportive to our responding or surrounding communities. We'll bring options to you when it's time. Either, I think we're leaning towards contract as needed. Because if we were to dedicate a whole day of the week, and you look at the whole year, that would exceed their whole budget of what they have for road and bridge funding. And so I don't think that that's a possibility. I think it would be as needed when they have a project and we could send a guy up there to do something. But the other issue is snowplow. And so that would be road and bridge and snowplow. And so 2 of our guys live up there already. And, they met about it, and now they're asking us to they want us to know that they're discussing this. And they're gonna.
Okay, so winter comes along and there's a big snow. Mickey lives up there and, nothing to plow the town.
Yeah.
Let me just keep it, an account of his hours, and then somehow we'll negotiate some sort of arrangement with him.
Correct. We would have an agreed upon IGA with funding or fees in there, what we would charge per hour.
Just
So that's just information only. We're not there, but it is there. Another code enforcement issue is, and I'm asking for direction too, because I'm being very delicate and sensitive. The Crazy Horse property, I did send a formal letter of stating he is, his business license has not been paid in several years. His signage is still up, and that's a violation of our ordinance it should have been removed within 60 days when he stopped being a business. And so it's been years. So basically saying you need to remove your signage. And if indeed he wants to bring it back as business, he'd have to pay his business license fee, and he would have to apply for a special use permit if he intends to keep it as a storage, which I believe is the last thing that he was using it for. So there's no allowance, it's a special use, and so you have to apply for that. That was sent out July 28th, and so I'm asking for direction when I should, I don't want to go 4 months, I think we should be on this.
30 days.
So.
From the time you send the letter.
I'm pretty sure we did receive a return receipt on that.
So we did receive it, okay.
Hasn't that building been condemned formally? No. Okay. No, I'm just wondering, I know that Kelly said to him that if there's a fire, the structure is not safe to send in his crew to try to do a search and rescue.
Well, and that's primarily because normally commercial properties get annual inspections for fire, and he hasn't had an annual inspection in years. There were also some uses that were going on there, so kind of a semi-restaurant banquet kind of situations. He would throw an event, but he had no food service license, no business license. So, that was several years ago. That was back under Tom Hale, so.
Criminal activity.
So, it's a total unknown, and that's why Kelly is hesitant to send anybody in there for any kind of rescue, is,
I just thought.
But, no, it did not go to that length that's a pretty extreme action.
Pretty extreme property.
Condemnation, well, but.
That can it's a different discussion.
Yeah, no, I think 30 days, given that they've been reminded periodically over the last 10 years that business license is required, I think 30 days is reasonable, but what does the rest of the board think?
Yeah.
30 days.
Okay.
30 days.
All right, thank you. So speaking of another one that's another code enforcement issue is, Mr. Dwayne Hydrick at 447th Street, just kind of behind Town Hall, is the rock wall. This one's been going on for months, 3 or 4 months now, maybe more. And I did formally send a letter, July 28th was the last letter I sent to him stating, it's still violation. We're glad you moved it 3 feet, but you're still 2 feet in the right of way. And so asking for direction, do you want, I mean, this has been going on for a long time now.
Yeah, to me, it's been going on for too long. It's not a situation where there wasn't plenty of room for it to be done right. Everybody's looked at it. Yeah, it just needs to be fixed.
So I could send a letter stating you have 10 days. I mean, code kind of speaks in language like that. You have 10 days to remove the wall. If not, the town will move it after 10 days. And then you will be charged. Okay? Thank you. The next item, just to bring your attention, I did formally reach out to CDOT's chief engineer regarding the visitor center negotiations. And I did receive a response back to him, and he's basically stated that it is not risen for him to be addressed. And he pushed it back down to a lower court, and gave me some suggestions of people to talk to. Gave me 3 names: Hope Wright, David Fox, and John Warren, who we need to get in touch with them. So that's just where we're at. We have not gotten anywhere. So the next I'd like for Mary to give just an update: the lodging tax.
Okay, the past month has been a whirlwind with Airbnb and VRBO, not so much Airbnb because they are still not responding, not paying. Expedia and VRBO, however, we've made some headway, thank you, Jerry, with them. I actually spoke with someone today, and she explained that if our short-term rentals or motels have it set up correctly on their profile, that Expedia and VRBO will collect the Georgetown 2% and then distribute it to them with their regular distribution for what they
Back to the property owner.
Back to the property owner, and then they are responsible. Now, I have some people that say, yep, that's how it works. And then I have some other ones that go, oh, no, I'm not getting it. So a lot of our lost revenue is going to be people that have to file amended returns and put their actual gross in there, because I don't think they have been. And stay tuned. We're getting somewhere with it slowly. But Airbnb, I still have not. I mean, it's been 3 weeks now, I think, since I opened the ticket with them, and nothing.
So. Yeah. And thank you, Mary. You worked really hard on that and spent countless hours wanting to bang it against the wall. And
I did bang against the wall here numerous times.
But now she has new walls to do that. Careful with that.
So thanks for all that. The other one's just to bring your attention: 1205 Rose Street is a residential structure. It's in the process of being purchased or just got purchased, and they're wanting to turn a residential house into a hotel so they can do short-term rentals. We're in the process of reviewing that according to code, and it's getting difficult. So just letting you know. So this one, Jerry's involved, Community Matters is involved. The owner is very challenging at this point.
Keep an eye on that.
What's that?
That's in your neighborhood. Keep an eye.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out which
It's the second house, to the north of the annex building.
The white and black one that was for sale, that one.
It's got a sign or real estate sign.
That's, yeah,
Well, because
that's,
it's in the commercial district, it's weird.
I understand, but like.
is the house next door in
Yeah.
the district too?
On that side of the street, it's
There's only 3 houses there, right? So yeah, there's only 2. Yeah, 2, you're right, 2.
Who do they advertise for views?
Mothers,
The market?
mothers.
I don't know, I'm just letting you know that, we are trying to be factual based on what code says. And regardless, they would have to do a special use permit, which then requires condition that we can place upon it. They are aware of that, they're very angry with that.
But what about parking?
I know, that's another
So
one.
that's a huge one, because how many spaces can you get out of with the parking thing?
Well, I'm just letting you know, we're not gonna solve it tonight, it's just, it's in the process. And then lastly, they did come today. We just need to continue our discussion on the Serenity for Life. So that's just that, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Rick.
Any questions on the administrator's report?
Oh, hold on, sorry.
Okay.
I should have looked at my report.
Okay,
I was going through.
but wait, there's more.
There's more, I'm sorry. Just to bring your attention, the police will have fines, an increase on the fee schedule ready for next meeting. So that, just keep that posted. Mary and I are from the budget looking at COLA increases. And so we are fine tuning that right now on what we're gonna be bringing back to you all. And so that's gonna be next meeting as well. That's it.
Okay. All right. Anything else that needs to be discussed tonight? Before we head into executive session?
Are you gonna do the in-person?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Jerry just reminded me we've got, the remote, versus in-person attendance. Just,
Members of the board, you have, I think, in the packet, the earlier memo I sent you in July. And Jennifer sent you a draft resolution. I think you all have that too. You got that separately. And just to remind you, in July you said, okay, these elements look like something you'd like to see in a resolution, so I put them in a resolution. And that's the form that you would use to act. So it's not an action item tonight to pass it or not, but it would be, what I'd like would be able to get a little direction from you to finalize it. And that can be on your next agenda, and you can take it up then for actual action. But I do want to point out a few things. If you all have the resolution, you'll notice that it, it reflects the territorial charter authority that you have to govern your meetings. That was in the memo too. From the direction I got from you, the rules, if you will, I put together 7 of them. The one that will be a little help for me, let me go through them all and just get some headlines, I guess. The first one was, you had said, okay, we don't want to embrace a rule that says no remote attendance at all, but we do want to have a rule. We kind of like, I forget if it might be important, that had maybe Westminster, that had the, attend in person. You can attend remotely up to number of dates. So that's there's a blank in there for that, because that's number 1. Number 2 is, have a good solid connection if you are remote. Number 3, let me explain a little bit. This is derived again from other rules, and that is that if you're using electronic participation, you can obviously vote in all things on the agenda, legislative, administrative. Deanne, can you mute for a second? I'm getting a lot of scratching and stuff. It's hard.
I'm getting a lot of scratching and weird noises too.
If you can mute, it'll help me. In any event, you'll notice number 3 says, when using electronic participation, you vote on everything, including votes to go into executive session, which may confuse you.
There's still the shuffling and noises coming. It's like paper being shuffled too close to the owl or something.
Nobody's next to the owl at all.
I'm just saying, it sounds like paper being shuffling.
I'm doing my best. All I can do is my best. I'm on the second page, and you'll notice that, I'll get to that executive thing in a minute, but you'll notice that if you attend remotely and it's not one of your 4 times, you're a member of the public, you can listen to the all matters, but if it's a quasi judicial matter, you don't count and you can't participate or vote. At least that's one rule that, so for example, land use cases, and those are often where people have exhibits they bring into the hearing, et cetera. Number 5, it says that you may only attend executive sessions in person and can't participate in those even if it's watching by electronic participation. And you might say, well, how is it you can vote to go into executive session, then you can't attend it? And it's important to remember that if you're in the meeting remotely and you're allowed to participate remotely up to a point, you get to vote on everything in the meeting. And one of the things in the meeting might be to go into executive session. But once that session's been convened, if you have a rule that says no remote attendance in executive session, then that person isn't attending. Number 6 is sort of a lifeline in the sense that if it looks like someone who'd otherwise not be able to attend remotely is going to make the difference for a quorum, the board can decide to allow remote participation. Or they can say, we're going to move with our rule. Looks like we're going to lose the quorum. We're going to recess the meeting. That's happened to me over my career any number of times. I had a council member become very ill in the middle of a meeting, and they had to leave, and we all agreed they had to leave, but that meant that they lost the quorum too, and these things happen. And number 5 was from, I forget what jurisdiction, but you had indicated you like the idea of, did I say 5 minutes? Alert the town clerk 24 hours ahead, whether you will or will not actually would be helpful to the clerk. And that's a pattern I see in a lot of places, so the clerk can plan. So that's the draft. I appreciate your comments on any of these, and I can make edits, and it can show up in your next agenda. So first and foremost, I suppose, if you like number 1, which is kind of the main rule, actually, if you think about it, what number you want to fill in?
I'll suggest 4.
Discussion, questions, comments, objections? Obviously, I can put this in when you see it on your formal agenda. You can talk about more, right? I'll put in 4.
Since we've got the ability later on to take a vote to make an exception, I think 4 is probably a good number.
Obviously, you want a good connection. I assume number 2 is not an issue. And I urge number 3, because if someone's allowed to participate one way or another, you have to be able to vote on everything that just like any other board member. It's really, I suppose, numbers 4 and 5 that are also additions, which is quasi-judicial matters like land use cases, yes or no to remote participation. Right now it says no. Objections to that? Yeah. No. Okay. And similarly, executive sessions. Absolutely. I noticed that was a theme pretty extensively. Other jurisdictions, some allow land use cases, but on executive sessions where they have a rule, the rule is usually nothing.
Well, I mean, here you've got a controlled environment, in a computer situation, you may not.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah.
That's important. Well, I will make.
Can I make a I have a question about number 7. Can we just add, or I don't know if it's needed, but just a thought, that the board member would tell the town clerk if they needed a link, not only just not attend the meeting?
Oh,
Since we're talking about in-person attendance.
sure. Vice
Just a
Chancellor.
thought.
Except that the link is provided on the agenda,
That's true, but
so.
often,
Oh, go
well, I get requests for direct links. Just
Okay,
asking.
So, I mean, what would it say, Jen?
ahead. Does that generate more work for you though?
24 hours, you got, whether the member will be attending the meeting and.
Or would like a link to the meeting, I don't know. Or will be attending the meeting virtually.
And
Or would
so-
want, request to attend the meeting virtually, I don't know.
And need a link.
That they will, okay, you have in there that they'll not be attending the meeting, whether the member will not be attending the meeting,
Oh, should be
or
will or will not, sorry.
Yeah.
just that if they would like a link to the meeting, that they're gonna attend virtually, however you wanna write it,
Okay,
I'm not
so,
sure.
and comment if attending, remote, attending electronically, I think is the way we said it. Request a link.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you guys agree with that, that's my thought.
Okay, other comments from the board?
Go to that.
Next comment, that's the board.
yes, Deanne?
This is all just bureaucratic nonsense. We live in a very small town. It's hard to get people to be part of the boards. If you limit them, you're going to have even harder of a time. And then I also, this has nothing to do with the subject at hand, but Jerry asked me to mute because there was a lot of noise. The noise is coming from everybody sitting on the west side of the building because the microphone is picking up Rich flipping papers and Jen dropping her pens and just all that kind of stuff. It has nothing to do with the subject at hand, but that's where the noise was coming from.
Anything else from the board? Okay, you'll see a draft of revision in your next packet.
Thank you.
Do you want to say something?
I have a question. And I just,
It's up to Lynette.
Lynette? Has a question.
Yes, Bob.
I just have a question. Does this apply just to the board of selectmen
Yes.
or to all conditions?
Just the
This
board.
is just the board of selectmen.
Oh, just a reminder.
Did you want to make a comment about the office?
No, I think this is fine.
Okay.
Keep it handy.
I just have a question, why do we know?
I suggested that we have this available for, just as a reminder of what our role is. See me after class.
Well,
Okay.
You ready?
Dwayne set out the executive session motion if we're ready for that. Okay.
I move to go into executive session under CRS 24-6-4024B and F to receive legal advice on a personal matter. Town Marshal Randy Williams, and under CRS 24-6-402-4B for legal advice on Bill Street litigation. I further move to reconvene the open meeting at the conclusion of executive session. And reading the safety time.
Waiting for a second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. It was unanimous. Okay. Give it a few minutes to set up.
Is there a separate, do we have a separate link for the executive session?
We do.